Hi there, I'm Jenny Ranovich along with meteorologist Matt Standridge. We really want to get you updated on this weather impact alert for a potentially stormy Sunday, Matt.
Yes, there in the afternoon and evening, we're going to be watching possibly some big thunderstorms, but we show these maps. A lot of colors, right?
I was going to ask, so, you join us for the news, maybe you see a map on social media and you're like, what does that mean? I mean, we see the orange, we see what does it mean?
Yeah, so when we're in the greens and yellows, usually a little bit weaker thunderstorms, and they're more very hit or miss. Once you get to that orange category, the specific language is actually scattered to numerous thunderstorms. So does that mean everyone's going to get a thunderstorm? Not necessarily. There's a chance, but in these situations, a lot of times, some folks will just get some rain and thunder and think, what happened?
Yeah.
But then some of us will get the stronger thunderstorms as well. But it could be pretty windy tomorrow.
Well, and when is everything kind of starting? Because I thought you said it's not just one round, right?
2 rounds.
Okay.
The first round's in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Let's say after about 2 o'clock. There probably will be some of these pop-up cells that are very hit or miss. Not everyone's going to get one of those. And in those, there could be a little bit of hail. There could be some rotation. We'll be tracking them.
Okay.
Those will get out of here. And then the main course will be this line of thunderstorms coming in from the west. And that's the one that's probably going to hit the majority of Hoosiers, but kind of in different impacts. Some of the storms will have 60, 70 mile per hour winds, while other parts are a little bit weaker.
And what's interesting is Matt was talking about how we actually kind of want the rain for that round one.
100%.
Why is that?
So there's only so much energy in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Basically like fueling up your car. If we're using some of the fuel too early, that'll help kind of weaken the next couple of rounds to go along the way. So actually right now, I'm going to go through the maps with you, Jenny, and we've got some rain showers across central Indiana over the overnight hours for Saturday night into Sunday morning. Those aren't severe, but what they're doing is they're keeping temperatures just a touch cooler. Okay. And we've got the clouds out there. So let's go ahead. I want to show you some of these maps and we'll continue to move forward. We've got that level 3 here all across Indiana except for extreme northwest portions of Lake County and Porter County. About 95% of the state is included in this level 3 out of 5, so we're not at the highest. The reason why we haven't been upgraded is exactly what Jenny was just talking about. Some of those scattered showers that we'll have in the morning. I think a lot of those will be from Indy to the east. They'll be light, but it could be kind of a dreary start to your Sunday morning. That's actually a good thing. You want the clouds and the showers to stick around as long as possible because what they'll do is they'll try to eat up some of the energy. Once they leave, then we try to kind of refuel the atmosphere. But if they don't leave for a long time, there's not going to be as much refueling. And so that's what we're going to be watching in the morning. That's going to be a big factor on how the storm risk will evolve. So right now we're at the level 3, but don't be surprised if some threats do get expanded, especially for parts of southwestern Indiana. We've got this huge polygonal bubble of this orange color, but I do think the severe threats are even worse a little bit farther to the south. That's where you get a little bit more of the tornado risk, while we have primarily a wind risk across central Indiana. So let's walk through a couple different things this evening. We've got the warm front. It already passed on through. It gave us a warm Friday. We're fairly comfortable today. The showers kind of made it feel cooler, but still warmer than average. There's the front. Doesn't look like it's doing much. In fact, see some of the heavy snow in parts of the Dakotas. They're getting snow, and there's going to be some ice in the UP of Michigan. We're not getting any wintry weather, although on the backside of this system by Monday, we'll be back in the 40s. So this is a pretty powerful front. What we've noticed with this front for this evening is that it's moving a little bit faster than we originally expected. So we've had to move the timeline up just a touch, really into the middle part of the afternoon and through the evening. This is not likely going to be really a big overnight system. We could still have some storms 8, 9, maybe 10 o'clock, but then by about 11 o'clock, a lot of this is out of here. So we're not really expecting big thunderstorms at 1 or 2 a.m. headed into your Monday morning. So that's one piece of good news. It's a little bit better in order to see the thunderstorms when they're coming at you. When it's dark, it gets a little bit tough. But there's the front. Doesn't look like it's doing much now. But throughout the course of the late evening and overnight hours for your Saturday night, we're fine, but parts of the Ozarks are likely going to get a couple thunderstorms. And those clusters will start moving towards Indiana. And if we get a break from this rain that we have for your Saturday night, they could get a little bit bigger, and then they'll swing across the state for your Sunday afternoon and into the evening hours. Right now, it's just light rain. No severe weather. It's been pretty steady north and west of Indianapolis. Indy's kind of been brushed by with a couple of these light showers, but we're just hoping that they can hold on longer into your Sunday morning, kind of use up some of this energy. But here's what we're expecting for your severe Sunday. Generally, the window of time, including the the first round with a couple pop-up showers and storms in the afternoon, all the way to that final round of rain, line of storms comes on through. We think that window is 2 to 10 o'clock. You probably noticed we've been narrowing that window over time as we get a little bit closer. Now, there could be a plus or minus an hour on some of these as we really dive deep, and once we see the storms forming, we can adjust a little bit more, but this is our best guess now. But inside that window, it's not going to be as if it's storming constantly from 2 to 10 where you live. But we do think for much of central Indiana, the stormiest time period will be between 5 to 8 o'clock, so right through dinner time. And something that we're going to be watching very closely is we've got session 2, Midwest Regionals, they're wrapping up. We've got Houston and Tennessee. Their tip-off is at 2:20, so, I mean, we'll see when they get out. But there could be a line of nasty storms coming into Indianapolis as we're wrapping that up. I think as we're headed to Lucas Oil to watch, which Purdue was in it, that was a painful loss last night. I think we're going to be fine going in. It's coming out that we're going to be watching the impacts. We're going to have wind gusts. That's the primary threat for these storms. A lot of gusty winds. Now, most of the storms are going to have gusts between 60 to 65 miles per hour. But in a couple sections, there could be gusts between 70 to 75 miles per hour. You know, a lot of times we're always kind of thinking about the tornado, but that could easily be like an EF0 tornado coming on through, and that's bigger. You know, from an aerial perspective, how many people are impacted by some of those winds. So winds, those are our primary threats. We could also have some hail. I think the best chance of hail will be some of those individual cells we have in the afternoon. Those are hit or miss. You know, we could get quarter-sized hail, maybe even up to about golf ball-sized hail. We're not expecting monstrous hailstorms with this system specifically. I think there'll be a little bit on the smaller, but you can still get some damage by getting a 1-inch hailer, that's quarter, and about a 1.5 inch, about golf ball-sized hail or so. So we'll watch for that. And then we could have a few tornadoes. There is rotation in the atmosphere, but what we've noticed is as you go from north to south in Indiana, northern Indiana, little less rotation. Kind of a low amount in central Indiana, but then once you get to southern Indiana, about a medium amount of some rotation. And so there will be a little bit of a higher tornado risk the farther south you go. I think the kind of the bullseye for tornado risk will be really south into parts of western Kentucky and western Tennessee. So since we're a little bit farther north, we do have a risk for a few tornadoes. Now, we've already had 14 tornadoes confirmed across the state for this year so far. It's been an active start. So not out of question that we could have some twisters. So we'll watch those, of course. And then everyone's going to get some rain, probably some thunder and lightning. Hopefully a storm comes on through your neighborhood, not as strong. You're just getting the rain and a couple rumbles, and that would be it. And that will be the case for some of us. Not everyone's going to get all this, for sure. But the threats are there, so we got to talk about those. So what you need to know is that you want to keep your eye on the radar very closely throughout the afternoon, and don't be surprised if you have to move indoors, if you're doing something outdoors throughout the day. But I do think we'll get a couple hours of some nice weather. I mean, it's going to be breezy. We'll be in the 70s. Not bad, but then watch out for the storms. That's the fuel that's going to be used for some of these cells as they develop. And throughout the afternoon and evening, we're going to be live on WTHR+. If we get a tornado warning, we're complied. We got to go on channel 13. But if we're just getting severe thunderstorm warnings, we'll have those for you on our stream, WTHR+. Make sure you download that for Apple TV, Roku, and Fire Stick. So what about the window of time? You know, we're talking about it from a general perspective, but we've got different kind of colored zones for you. Southwest of Indianapolis, so this would include Martinsville, it would include Bloomington, Crawfordsville, Greencastle, even kind of getting close to Lafayette. We think the window is 2 to 8. Closer to the 2 o'clock hour, there could be a couple pop-up cells. We'll watch them, they're hit or miss. But then the main line starts coming through, 5, 6 o'clock, and I think it should be out of here for the dark purple areas by 8, and then I think we're good. There could still be some leftover rain and rumbles, but we're talking about the main storm time window specifically. Then we get to the next zone, 3 to 9 o'clock. That does include Marion County, includes Hamilton County up towards Kokomo, and then most of northern Indiana. And then there's kind of this slim sliver, you could say, right through parts of Brown County into Columbus, Edinburgh, Greenwood were included in that as well, and then towards Seymour. And then for eastern Indiana, we'll wait just a little bit longer. I think we'll have a longer time window of some drier weather in the afternoon, but we may also have more scattered showers in the morning. We may start off a little bit more dreary across parts of Winchester into Muncie, Newcastle, Richmond, Hagerstown, Connersville, Centerville to Brookville Lake. So we'll watch for that, and then the storms will come in just a little bit later for us. Let's start your morning. Let's go ahead and kind of walk through what we think your Sunday is going to be like. We'll start off pretty comfortable. I mean, we'll have some scattered showers. Those will make it feel cool, but we'll be in the upper 50s. That's where we should be for our average highs getting into this time of year. Then into the afternoon, we get into the 70s, nice south wind. Even if it's mostly cloudy, the south wind is helping to refuel the atmosphere. And so what we'll be watching is how quickly can we get rid of these rain chances. You know, we got about a 50-50 shot here in the morning, drier midday, and then from 2 o'clock onward, the rain chances will go up. I think the heart of the line that comes in, we've got scattered pop-ups first, but then the line comes through. They're 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, so we'll have to watch out for those. Wind is our primary threat, not tornadoes, but wind. Remember some of these lines that we've had throughout the month of March that have spawned these tornadoes. Not everyone got tornadoes, but we all got some rain and wind coming on through. This could be one of our windier rounds that we've had so far for the month of March. Up to 75-mile-per-hour gusts are possible. Doesn't mean you're going to get that, but that could be the max. A few of us could reach that here in the yellow zone. Once you get to Indy and you'll go eastbound, down to about 65 miles per hour. We do think the storms will weaken just a touch as they do push off towards the east. We've got a little bit cooler air to work with eventually and cooling temperatures as nightfall takes place. But there could be some really big wind with some of these thunderstorms. Then we get to hail. That's something that we'll be watching. I mean, we're not talking about the huge hail, but even with quarter and golf ball sized hail, you can get some damage that can crack a windshield. So we'll be tracking that. Not everyone's going to get one. I think it's very localized. We'll be able to track individual cells throughout the afternoon. That's why you want to tune in, because we can tell you which storms we think are actually dropping a little bit of hail. So we'll be watching that closely. Up to about golf ball sized hail. It's about 1.5 inches. I think bigger hail will be more towards really southwestern Indiana. And then we get to the tornado risk. That comes this afternoon, Sunday afternoon through the evening. Kind of two different rounds. We were talking about those little pop-ups. The pop-ups can be a little worrisome at times. If they're robust, there will be rotation with those. The question is, how big can they get? If they just stay more showers with a little bit of rumbles of thunder, you're not going to be strong enough to really produce a tornado most likely. But in the afternoon, if we get a couple of those pop-ups before the line, we'll watch those closely. But generally, there's a low risk. The very low is up to the north. Low risk for much of central Indiana, but as soon as you get into Monroe County, Brown County, and into Bartholomew County, we get into that medium category. There's a little bit more rotation in the atmosphere. So let's say we've got a nasty line coming on through. Every little bulge that comes on through, we call that rear inflow jet, kind of a surge of wind. You see how kind of the line kind of zigzags? Wherever you have a surge of wind coming on through is that north side of the surge where there could be a little rotation. But we'll have to really watch those surges in southern Indiana. And that's where we've had more of the touchdowns throughout March so far. And that may be the case again. So that's something that we'll be watching. Not in order to scare folks, but just something to, hey, you got to be on the lookout, because we'll probably have at times a severe thunderstorm watch or tornado watch. I think that's going to be likely. As the line comes through, there can be some of these brief spin ups. So we'll watch those closely. All right, so let's walk through your day. We're starting off there at midnight, heading into your Sunday. We'll start off with a lot of clouds and a couple of spotty showers, especially the farther east you go. But then the question is, how long do they last? If we can get the clouds lasting, keep the showers lasting, that would be good news. But I do think we'll get some breaks in the sun and the clouds in order to help refuel us just a little bit. If we get a little bit too much, we'll get some of these pop-ups. So these are the first pop-ups that we're talking about. They're super hit or miss. Not everyone's going to get one. There's going to be some of us who don't get a drop until 5, 6 o'clock once that main line starts to arrive. So here is 6 o'clock, rough timeline here. Expect a little bit of an adjustment, and don't exactly memorize where this line is. It's just kind of a representation that we've got a line coming through in the evening hours. And in some of these bulges, we'll have to watch there on the north side. That's your best chance for some rotation. So we got 6 o'clock, storms coming in, a line of them from western Indiana, coming into central Indiana, 7, 8 o'clock. So we'll watch that right around Indy. We think 6, 7, 8 o'clock, those storms come on through. They clear Indy maybe by about 9 o'clock coming into eastern Indiana. And then what we'll probably see is this upscale growth. All these storms to the south start throwing all their rain on us, and that may try to weaken the storms. They're going to be super heavy, but the severe threats may weaken a little bit over time for eastern Indiana. That would be good news for us, but still some rain kind of wrapping up there by 11 o'clock. Most of the little cells, if there's anything on the backside, there'll just be some rain and rumbles, but that main storm window starts to end 10 to 11 o'clock. And then the cold air comes in, and we'll have to see kind of how the day played out. We'll have updates throughout the evening on what's happening. You know, we'll be tracking storms as they move on through, but we'll also try to give you information if there's any damage that took place, and we'll kind of give that recap to you throughout the rest of the evening and overnight hours. So this should actually say Sunday, but we're talking about the Midwest Regional Session 2, Tennessee versus Houston. The gates open at Lucas Oil, 12:50, tip off at 2:20. I think we're going to be mostly dry heading in. There'll be a couple showers out there possibly, but most of the time we should be dry headed in. During the game, we're going to watch storm chances increase. As we're wrapping up the game at Lucas Oil, I think that line starts to approach. So it could get pretty noisy around downtown as we're wrapping up session 2. So that's why we have that weather impact alert for tomorrow. 70s, we are warm enough for storms. The dew points, we also take a look at those, how much humidity, how much water is in the air. We've got plenty amount of dew points high into the low and mid 60s, so that's enough fuel there too. The question is, how quickly can we break the clouds from the morning? The more sunshine you see throughout the day, the storms could be a little bit stronger. So that'll be something that we'll watch. And then look how much temperatures drop by your Monday. We'll be in the 40s, and we may just stay level in those mid 40s throughout the day. The coldest time will be Tuesday morning. There could actually be a little bit of patchy frost. I know some folks have gotten excited, and even a few have tried to plant a little bit, so you have to be careful. We'll be in the 20s, I think, but then we'll warm things up. And then right coming in 3 days later from your Sunday, on Wednesday, more strong thunderstorms are possible. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got to put a weather impact alert on this one too. There's an early risk right now for severe weather across Indiana for the late evening hours and into the overnight, and we'll maybe wrap up there on Thursday morning. So that'd be the next one to watch. We are in a very progressive pattern. What that means in the upper levels, we've got a lot of waves going around the whole northern hemisphere right now. Because there's so many waves, they kick up their own storm systems. So it's just storm system after storm system. This is the time of year for that. So that's not necessarily unusual, but there's a lot of them right now, and we'll be tracking each one that comes on through. But make sure you're on the lookout generally from 2 to 10 o'clock. There could still be some leftover rain and rumbles just after 10 o'clock or so, but we think the main window across central Indiana, 2 to 10, with the stormiest weather, 5 to 8, 5 to 9 or so. Your weather team's going to be here. We'll be tracking it on WTHR Plus. Once again, if there are tornado warnings, then we'll also join coverage on NBC Channel 13. It's going to be a busy second half of the weekend. We'll be right here with you for it. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local. As always, we'll keep you advised.